Okay, let's go through the answers, lesson 2, your lesson 5 in the grand schedule. Question 1. I'm convinced that we should move along with this project. Convince should be convinced. Convinced. Question number 2. This meeting agenda is confused to follow. Confuse should read confusing. Confusing. Question number 3. Who left behind this unsigned paper? Left is actually correct in this instance, and we can leave it alone. So who left behind this unsigned paper is absolutely fine. Number 4, I'm fined with this, one way or the other. Fined is past tense, that's incorrect. We need to use the present continuous. It's very simple, the fine, just to say fine. I'm fine with this, one way or the other. Number 5, I'm definitely surprised by the lack of competition. We should arrange a sell. There's 2 problems with this sentence. I'm definitely surprised, okay, surprised past tense, by the lack of competition. We should arrange a sale, rather than sell. So we're using sale as a noun as opposed to sell as a verb. Number 6, let's took this subject to a different direction. Now took is past tense, obviously that's wrong. Let's take this subject to a different direction. Perhaps we could say in a different direction. Number 7, the movie has been released in theaters and has made tons of money in the box office. Okay, now 2 potential issues here. The movie has been released, that's okay, in theaters, and has made, irregular verb, make becomes made. Tons of money in the box office, M-A-D-E. Number 8, in our meeting today, we strongly disagree with the direction of this product. Now, strong should be an adverb, so we should be looking at the word strongly, strongly. Number 9, by a show of hands, we will start the vote. Showed is the wrong tense, it's past tense. We should be showing the word show, S-H-O-W. That takes us nicely onto the next section, conversation reading, where we had multiple choice questions. Now, question number 1. When asking for feedback, which of the following questions should you choose? We had a choice, A through D. Hi everyone, how is your relationship going? Perhaps something we should never ask. B, I would be grateful if you have any suggestions for me. That sounds pretty good. Let's see what the others are. How's the meeting going? Not really a formal and good way to suggest getting some ideas. Or finally, does everyone think the chairperson is too tall? Completely irrelevant. So we look back at the options, option B is the best. I'd be grateful if you have any suggestions for me. We're inviting the floor to an open discussion to say, hey, what do you think? Question number 2. If you're giving your opinion, which of the following phrases should you not start out with? Okay? In my opinion. Well, everybody has opinions, and it's always a good idea not to share them at the beginning of a meeting. Concern yourself with facts rather than opinions. And if you are going to talk about opinions, it's better to seek the opinions of others before you share yours. Option B, as far as I'm concerned, well, basically it's another way of saying, hey, this is what I think. Not a good idea. Option C, I would like to say, well, we'd all like to say something or other, but in actual fact, D is the best. You need help, okay? You need help is the one we would never, ever, ever say. All right, it's the worst thing you could possibly think. You're basically saying to somebody they're not good enough. Moving on to question 3. If you want to strongly agree on something, which phrase should you choose? I strongly disagree with your statement. Well, disagree is the opposite of agree, so it's not part A. B, I agree up to a point, but we still need to change this. Now, that's a polite way that a boss will say, hey, your idea's no good. All right, that's typically what a boss would say. I agree up to a point, when what he really means is, no, we're not doing that. Part C, quite frankly, I don't like it. That's like something like what my old boss would say. If he didn't like it, he would tell you straight away. disagreement from him. This shouldn't go forward here. Okay, again, not ideal. In actual fact, A, B, C, or D, we don't like any of those. None of those are very, very good for saying we agree with something. So the answer is E, none of the above. Question number 4. When you're neutral on an issue, which answer should you select? You're neutral. You don't mind either way. You can say A, I'm neutral on this issue. It's a very bland thing to say. But what you're saying when you say that is, hey, I don't really mind. I'm not bothered. Sometimes that's not a good idea to say that. Option B, I'm fine with either way on this one. Or option C, I don't have much of an opinion on this. Again, similar, very weak answers. Personally, I haven't any ideas about. Not ideal. The fact is, any of these you could use to say, well, hey, I don't mind, but be careful. You don't want to show anyone in the room that you don't really care. Better to put yourself across to say, well, I can see it's important, but for me, I don't mind which way we go. David, what do you think? Might be a good idea to bring someone else in. Question number 5. If you're confused on a subject, what do you not say? What do you not say? Well, first one, I understand this subject completely. Never lie in a meeting. If you say you understand everything, people will believe you. And then you will either A, make a fool of yourself, or B, get something wrong and cost the company a lot of money. Options B, sorry, could you repeat that again, please? Not a bad idea. Asking for someone to repeat what they've already said, maybe asking for more clarification. C, this discussion is a bit confusing to me. Can we please go over the points again? A good thing to say, very good. And D, I feel like I don't understand this topic enough. Another jolly good thing to say. So one of the statements that we don't say is A, I understand this completely. Question number 6, how would you disagree without being rude? Sometimes very difficult to do. What we don't say is, your points are horrible, stop talking. You're too short to continue giving this presentation, give it to someone else. We don't make personal comments, we don't say anything rude. Better to say, I'm sorry, but I have to disagree. Or another way, let's agree to differ. That completes section 2.1. Let's look at the answers we should have found in section 2.2. Again, conversational reading and multiple choice. Our meeting ran out of time, so we were forced to something, the decision. Now, is it A, popcorn, B, positive, C, postpone, or D, post? Obviously there we want to see the word postpone. Postpone means pushback, pushback. Number 2, if the participants have any to add, please wait until Rachel has done speaking. Now let's see what Rachel has done. If the participants have any commas, coins, comments, or conversation. The one there, comments, things that we want to say. So if you've got anything you want to say, please wait until Rachel has finished. So the answer is C, comments. Question number 3. The board members couldn't come to something, so they had to delay the vote. Now we have the options argument, postponement, grievance, agreement, or E, none of the above. Now, they couldn't come to so the word "an" is given as a little bit of a clue. It says the word starts with a vowel sound. We have 2. We have argument or agreement. Now, if you want to delay the vote, the board members didn't come to an argument, they couldn't come to an agreement. So answer D, agreement. Question number 4. Before we something the meeting, does anyone have any additional feedback to add? Now, a good way of closing the meeting is when we wrap up. So answer A, wrap up the meeting. We're closing the meeting. It's another way to say closing. Do we have a question 5? Yes, we do. I'll something the introduction as soon as all the board members take a seat. Is it close, corner, cop out, or commence? I'll commence the introduction as soon as the board members take a seat. Answer D is the correct answer. Question number 6. Our company board will now do a something to indicate which project they wish to go with. Is it a wave of applause, a show of hands, a motion, an agenda, or a buffet? A buffet will come soon, I hope, and that's lunch. So it's not the one that we want here. It's a show of hands, which is a method of voting, a show of hands. Answer B. After the voting ended, the something showed that the red project won. That's number 7. After voting ended, the something showed that the red project won. We have pizza, more lunch, argument, phone calls, results, or board. We look through and the best answer there, after the voting ended, the results showed that the red project won. Answer D. Getting close to the end now, questions in section 2.3 where we had to match the 2 parts of the sentence. Part 1, we had, let us wrap up, and we chose answer E. Let us wrap up the speech. Let us wrap up the speech. Question number 2, thank you for, and then we chose answer A, giving me the time to present. Giving me the time to present. Question 3, I have to go. And we went for answer D, I'm sorry to everyone that showed up. I'm sorry to anyone that showed up. Question 4, it was a wonderful, and then we looked through the answers. It was a wonderful, answer F, talk. A wonderful talk. Thank you for presenting it to us. Coming to the end now, question 5, the chairperson, goes for C, is in charge of this meeting agenda. The chairperson is in charge of this meeting agenda. Last one, question number 6, express gratitude and, we've only got one left, answer B, appreciation for the work the organizer has done. Our next raft of questions involved true and false answers, and we gave about half a dozen different questions. Let's see what we came up with. Question number 1, when you negotiate with a fellow team member, you always yell at them, true or false? Well, in the meeting, it's a bad idea to yell at anybody, so that would be a false idea. Question 2, some company boards use a show of hands method for decisions. Yes, they do. When we're taking decisions, all those in favor, raise a hand. This is a show of hands. It's the most common form of voting around the world. Question number 2, T for true. Question 3, there's no easy way to disagree with someone. However, you can soften the impact of your words with different language. Using different language, different tone, we can get a very different response to just saying, hey, you're wrong. So that would be true, true. Question 4, if you disagree with someone's proposal, you would say, agree with your proposal mostly. Best not to do that. False. Best not to say that you agree with most of it. It's better to be open and honest and say, well, I'm sorry, but I can't agree with your proposal because, and then give them a real reason. Question 5, when confused about a specific point in a speech, you would ask the person speaking to be quiet or let yourself think. Absolutely not. False. We don't want to ask anybody to be quiet in a meeting. We would be better to ask for some more illumination or some more points that we could ask questions about so we can make ourselves more acquainted with the topic that we're talking about. Question 6. After the meeting ends, you should thank everyone for their participation. Absolutely true. At the end of the meeting, go around and just make sure you look at each person in turn to say thank you for coming along. It's important to make everybody feel good about coming to meetings, or they may not come to the next one. And finally, if you're late for the meeting, you should blame the organizer loudly. Say, hey, it's your fault. Absolutely not. You apologize meekly and you say, I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic, whatever the reason was, Honesty is the best policy. Section 3.2, the final section of this lesson, is two conversations. The first one between Jason and Susan. Jason, we should have a meeting next week. How about we schedule it for Tuesday? Susan, Tuesday's perfect for the meeting. How do we want to start the meeting? Jason, introductions. I also hope nobody interrupts the meeting. That would be rude. Susan, I agree. I also hope everyone will arrive on time. The words you should have found there that were missing are as follows. Firstly, we schedule it for Tuesday. Schedule. Remember, schedule is a British way. Schedule is the American way to say that word. Missing word on line 4. We want to start the meeting. Start the meeting. Our fourth missing word, I also hope nobody interrupts the meeting. Interrupts. Okay, and finally, Susan says, I also hope everyone will arrive on time. On time. That takes us down to the second conversation between Bill and Anna. Bill says, the meeting starts at 3 p.m. Today's agenda. We'll discuss this product. Anna, will there be enough people for a quorum? Bill says, there should be. Susan, how does the progress look for this week? Progress. Bill comes back with, it looks good. However, I disagree with this plan. We need more time. Susan counters with, please explain your reasons. The team will want to hear this. Bill goes on to say, as long as it furthers our objectives.